the legendary Miyamoto Musashi, the man who won his first battle at the age of 13, the man who has won over 60 duels without suffering a single defeat, and the man who has more pop culture and media appearances than any historical figure ever. Like, no, seriously, like, how many forms of media are they going to put him in? Vagabond, Record of Ragnarok, Ghost of Yote, and now Baki. Yes, the anime about invisible food has decided to feature a Japanese swordsman from the 1600s. This nonsensical masterpiece is like a combination of JoJo's Bizarre Adventures and Boondocks. This Baki season has been getting hyped up for the longest, so let's cut the yapping and get straight into the meat and potatoes. Just to get you up to date on the lore real quick, so far, Baki has defeated Guevara, yes, the real Che Guevara, Oliver Biscuit, a 600-pound winter soldier, Pickle, a prehistoric caveman who looks like Tsukasa's cousin, and even Yujiro Hanma, the strongest creature alive. Well, he kinda beats him like on a technicality, I guess, but you know, that's besides the point. Because Baki has basically beaten every single major boss in a video game, he is now suffering from extreme boredom. That's when it cuts over to Brock Lesnar, also claiming to be extremely bored. He's the 8-time defending world champion and has belted every single one of his opponents. Since the father-son fight from last season got live streamed and posted on social media, everyone heard about it, so he wants to have a fight with Baki in the hope that it will cure his boredom. People in Baki really got death wishes. He saw non-AI generated footage of a Japanese teenager using real-life projection sorcery and said, yeah, let me get that, let me squabble up with him. Tokugawa agrees and they set up the match in the main arena for the same day. No training camp, no nothing. Baki walks out and his nen is so strong. Brock Lesnar sees this Lord of the Rings Australian creature projected from Baki's body. I was getting ready for some kind of legendary squabble, but this genuinely lasted 12 seconds.
Hi, my name is Cherry Bomb and I fight for all the single moms out there that don't get the respect they deserve.
Let's do this!
Baki didn't even throw a punch. He weaved a kick and grabbed bro by his head and started shaking him so hard his brain turned into jelly. Coughing baby versus hydrogen bomb. I don't know if anyone can hang with Baki right now. Baki is still extremely bored when we cut over to Tokugawa, and this man Tokugawa actually runs Japan. Like, imagine the prime minister of a country is having to check in with you before he does anything. This is the type of chokehold the cartel had on Mexico. This might be the type of chokehold that Israel has on America. They meet up and he takes the prime minister to this facility underneath Tokyo's skytree. That's when he reveals that he is attempting to clone a human being, Musashi Miyamoto. They plundered his actual gravesite and used the bone marrow from his spinal cord to extract his DNA to begin the cloning process. They start the process, and before they even picked up his reboot card, Baki was able to sense his presence the same way Megumi sensed Sukune in Shibuya. But before they were able to complete the summoning jutsu, we cut over to the other top tiers in the verse. Tatsumi and Goki Shigerukawa are doing some light sparring as they begin to explain that after the father-son fight, everyone started training again. Doppo will start doing waterfall training like he's Sage Mode Naruto. Motobe is moving like Batman and wants to master all weapon-based martial arts. Kosho Shinogi and his brother quit their 9 to 5 so they could focus on their training. Retsu has been doing his Hajime no Ippo side quest, and Oliver Biscuit is back in the gym pumping iron. And last but certainly not least, this absolute bum Jack Hanma is back on the steroids and using body lengthening surgery so he can become 8 foot tall. This guy will really try and do anything except for actually train his martial arts.
Legendary Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, even fucking Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson as a rookie, yes. 45 points,
Larry
17
Bird,
rebounds, triple-double, Larry Bird, legendary. These are legendary. Hakeem Olajuwon is more legendary than Kevin Durant. That's what we talking about right now. Stop talking about KD like he's this guy. He's not that guy. He's a Slim Reaper. He's garbage when it matters. He's garbage.
Jokes aside, I actually love Jack so much. His character writing is some of the best in the show, and his unwillingness to give up is like a 10 out of 10. But I'm just tired of seeing him constantly lose. Like, come on, bro. It turns out that just like Baki, everyone has been extremely bored, so that's why they all collectively started training again. Now, don't get me wrong. Baki being bored is fair enough, like he has no real goal to work towards right now, but like at least 70% of these other guys are not strong enough to be walking around like that One Punch Man. Like if you're really as bored as you claim to be, you can always go and fight Yujiro, you know, like he's still here, only Baki's the one who beat him. Well, I'll be damned. Hey, say what you will about Hanayama, but he's a certified dog, no doubt about it. Whilst all these other guys are pretending to be bored, he went straight to the final boss the same way I tried to fight Ganon with nothing but a stick in Zelda Breath of the Wild. Hanayama pulls up to Tokugawa so he can set up a squabble with Yujiro. Even though the last time they fought, Yujiro had his knees doing the reverse stanky leg and his elbows turned inside out. I'm surprised bro even recovered. Anyways, they pull up to the streets of Tokyo and Yujiro's aura is as strong as ever. Got his chakra oozing out his body. They start walking and it turns out that Yujiro has basically become a celebrity after the father-son fight, to the point that people are even asking him for autographs. Hanayama tells him that he's been feeling super bored, so decided to challenge a special grade sorcerer to cure his boredom. Yujiro obviously takes offense to it and they square up ready for the squabble. Hanayama clocks his fist all the way back to Narnia and Yujiro says he ain't even gonna dodge it. He lets it fly and I at least thought Yujiro would take some damage, but his face starts steaming like a Titan shifter and genuinely just laughs it off. Hanayama starts his flurry rush but proceeds to miss every single one of his attacks, with Yujiro barely having to move. Turns out even though he wanted this fight, his brain is physically stopping him from attacking Yujiro because he's so scared. It's like a flight or fight response. Yujiro proceeds to facepalm him, sending this 300-pound man flying through an entire building. The worst part about all this is that they had to pull the security camera footage from the 7-Eleven just to get an instant replay. Yo, if I lose a fight and people somehow get a hold of the security footage of me ass out, feet up, everyone gotta die. No way I'm letting this touch Twitter, bro. We end up cutting back to the underground facility and these guys actually managed to successfully clone Musashi Miyamoto. Even though they managed to clone his physical body, he has not waken up yet. They try to figure out why, and that's when Tokugawa says that they revived his body but didn't bring back his soul. So right now, the body is basically like an empty shell without his subconscious. Tokugawa suggests that they call for the help of his sister, who's a powerful psychic. For a second, I thought Mob and Regan Arataka were gonna pull up. His sister's name is Sabuko, and she has the ability to summon anyone from the dead and have them inhabit their body like a vessel. It's kinda like when that one grandma summoned Toji back during the Shibuya incident. The scientists are understandably so skeptical when we switch over to this old lady who has a line of people in front of her. This guy with the fried hairline asks her if she can summon John F. Kennedy as she claps her hands together, does a chant, and seemingly turns into the former president of the United States. Even though this is Baki, I still wasn't fully convinced. No way, they just have like a random character capable of using astral projection on dead people. Like Orochimaru almost died trying to use the reincarnation jutsu. The next guy steps up and he asks if she can summon his father. She tries but ends up not being able to because apparently he isn't dead. The kid tells her that he's 100% dead, so she tries again and this time it works. After chewing him out just like his dad would do, he reveals that his dad is actually alive and she's basically a certified scammer. But this is when it starts getting wild, because the moment he goes home, he goes to speak to his dad and his dad confirms that he actually passed out while at work at the exact same time she summoned him. And on top of that, whilst he was knocked out, he had a dream that he was shouting at his son just like she was doing to him, which means that this old lady very possibly forcibly knocked bro out or like put him in a state of temporary death just so she can summon him. Yo, there's no way this is a coincidence. How deep does the Baki rabbit hole go? These characters have actual hacks abilities. I wanna see Prime Yujiro versus Satoru Gojo. The Baki narrator could convince me he was capable of bypassing infinity because he jiggled his butt cheeks at Mach 10 speed, which allowed him to perform a world-cutting slash. They give Granny the call and she also confirms that Tokugawa was indeed correct about missing Miyamoto's soul. She says she could easily summon his soul as she's actually spoken to him a couple of times since people call on him a lot. Sabuko begins the ritual and actually manages to successfully bring forth his soul. She kisses his body as slowly the soul begins to transfer and his body begins to transform into the real Miyamoto Musashi until bro successfully arises from the dead. And his first action is grabbing her by the face and tossing her away, which I guess is fair enough. Imagine being awoken from 1600s Japan into a modern day laboratory with some nasty old ladies sucking on your lips. I'd be mad too. Musashi questions them for a couple of hours so they get him up to speed on everything, and he's honestly surprisingly calm. This is like how Kenjaku brought all these old school sorcerers into the calling games. I'm from this time period and I still got overstimulated when I first landed in Tokyo, so imagine how Musashi Miyamoto must feel.
How many genders are there?
I don't know. I just got here.
Oh, I just learned. There's like 58.
I don't know.
One. Probably at least 1 million, I would think.
After getting the lure drop, Tokugawa asks him if he can fight someone for him, and after getting him kitted up, he agrees to squabble. They pull up to the underground arena as Japan's strongest swordsman walks out. His name is Kyoichiro Sabu, a mass murderer who has taken over 20 people's lives. He aura walks towards Musashi when a cut comes across the screen. Now, I thought Musashi somehow already buddied him, but he seems to be still standing. He begins tweaking and asks Tokugawa to explain who his opponent is. Tokugawa says he'll tell him after the match, when bro straight up forfeits and calls it a day. This might be the smartest Baki character I have ever seen. Turns out that since stepping in the arena, he's been taken out 7 times. He got split through the middle, hit with a British greeting, sliced diagonally, horizontally, and vertically. Yo, this is how people explain fighting against Prime Sukuna. I'm sick. Tokugawa asks him how he would have been able to cut without a sword, and long story short, Baki is never beating the invisible food allegations. Miyamoto Musashi basically confirms that the power system of Baki is actually just your imagination. Whoever is more schizophrenic can basically force the schizophrenia onto others, making it feel like they have been actually cut. Tokugawa asks Miyamoto if he can show them his technique, and he says bet. He grabs both his swords, clocks back his arm, and swings downward. Now, I initially thought, whoop-de-doo, I can do that too. You just broke the sword by hitting it on the ground. No, he swung his sword with so much force, it shattered without even making contact with anything. I can tell we're dealing with a grade A demon. Tokugawa goes to meet up with Baki so he can tell him how his pops watched Hanayama when Baki asks him who the guy on the other side of the door is. I'm telling you bro, these guys got built-in power level scouters. Even if John Jones was sitting in the other room, I would not be able to tell you he was sitting there. Musashi spawns in behind Baki, and Baki goes for the Cristiano Ronaldo bicycle kick and instantly gets his leg snatched, or so I thought. These genjutsu battles are getting out of hand. Even I don't know what's real or fake anymore. They stand face to face, and to Baki, Miyamoto Musashi is the equivalent of a nuclear weapon, whilst Musashi just sees an all-you-can-eat buffet. Baki instantly realizes it's Miyamoto Musashi and actually straight up guesses everything, even the fact that Tokugawa was the one who brought him back to life. They step outside and you already know what time it is. Let the squabble commence. Baki goes in with a head kick, but Miyamoto dodges and grabs him by his leg like he's an inflatable sword. Baki weighs like 200 pounds and Miyamoto is moving him around like it's nothing. He proceeds to clock back his arm and decides to pop his ultimate, slamming Baki the same way he did with the swords, knocking him clean out. Baki wakes up after a while and the realization hits him that he's squared up with the real Miyamoto Musashi. He runs back outside and asks for that round 2. Miyamoto tells him that he's not that guy and he could have killed him when he was knocked out earlier. He actually tells him that Baki is strong, but he's not a true warrior. For a split second, I thought he was gonna get philosophical on us. Baki wasn't trying to hear all that though, and steps in with a light speed jab, which is the move his dad taught him when he was a kid. It's meant to be a sure hit move because it moves at such speed that it's impossible to react to even if you know it's coming. As we cut back to Miyamoto, who has indeed been put in a blender, had his brain rumbling, forcing him to take a knee, as Baki says that he could have killed him 3 times in that short moment. That's my goat. Miyamoto gets up and praises Baki's skill before he explains that he actually saw the move coming but wanted to see what kind of effect it would have on his body. Yo, we might be dealing with a Yujiro level threat right now. Miyamoto locks in and takes up his 2-sword fighting stance. Baki gets ready to throw another jab, and I kid you not, it cuts over to this damn narrator again, talking about a Danish author called Thor Norentanders, and he starts talking about the half second between your brain making a decision and you executing on it. He tells us that Miyamoto Musashi is able to see the signal synapses of our brain and anticipate every single move before the opponent himself even knows what they themselves want to do. He flash steps in, grabs Baki's fist, and cuts him with this invisible imaginary blade. Had Baki yelling like he actually got hit with roadman breathing. This is insane. Miyamoto says that he wants to go explore the city, so dips out as Baki once again gets knocked. This is the second time my goat lost, but hear me out before you guys start calling him a fraud. This is like Pokemon battles. Fire is weak to water, ground is weak to grass, and dragons are both weak and strong against other dragons. Baki is an imaginary technique user, and so is like Miyamoto, which is why his attack was so effective on Baki. Like, don't count him out just yet is what I'm saying, you know? We all know Baki is prone to holding back. Like, he didn't even use his demon back. Miyamoto is walking down the Japanese streets when he gets questioned by the police. And you know, it's actually fair enough. We're talking about a 6'8", 360-pound behemoth walking around with no shoes on. And they were honestly kind of polite about it too. He just took it as disrespect, because why wouldn't he? He probably thought they were trying to test this gangster. They ask him for his name and ID when bro says he doesn't have ID, but his name is Miyamoto Musashi. Imagine being a police officer and you're walking downtown when you run into someone without any ID claiming to be Kratos, the god of war. I'd think he was drunk too. Anyways, they try to arrest him, so he no-diffs both of them. 2 more pull up and they also get dropped. They call in for backup, hoping to take take him down, but nothing they do got any effect on him. This guy gets sliced down, and this guy by far had it the worst. Got his balls turned into okra soup with one squeeze. I don't know if he can ever recover from this. Even though he wasn't arrested, the security footage made it to local TV, and all the Baki top tiers now know a strong opponent has appeared in Japan. Doppo Orochi is the first person to start looking for the smoke. This is really who Joe Rogan thinks he is. I feel like Doppo is kind of like Maharaga, like he's a skill check character for all the top tiers in the verse, but no one actually really slanders him for always losing. Miyamoto Musashi pulls up and says that he's happy to squabble up. They have their aura off when Doppo goes for the headbutt, but Musashi just pushes his head downwards as he pats it. Yo, this is a crazy position. They go again, and this time Musashi uses his imaginary swords. Doppo dodges the first strike, but gets caught by the second one before Musashi lands a strong right to the nose. Doppo gets up, and Musashi is confused how he got up in the first place because he did actually cut him. That's when Doppo says that he stood up because he was physically able to, and Musashi should have used a real sword if he wanted him to stay down. Let me know if you think I'm tweaking in the comments, but doesn't this basically confirm that like the typings and the matchups actually matter in Baki, since Doppo isn't as susceptible to imaginary martial arts as Baki? I could just be waffling, but I feel like I'm making sense. Musashi asked Tokugawa for his sword, and he gave him Zoro's hanma. They tee up one more time as Doppo leaps in for a flying kick, but Miyamoto actually one-taps him. I thought Doppo finally died, but Musashi held back and only pressed down, applying force without cutting. His mastery of the blade is insane. We cut over to one of my favorite characters in the show, Sea King Retsu. He just won his boxing fight and became the world heavyweight champion on a technicality. They ask him if he will defend his title when he says he's going back to Japan so he can run the ones of Miyamoto Musashi too, after seeing the security footage on TikTok. He speaks to Tatsumi and finds out that Doppo got packed up with zero difficulty. He explains that while most of them are extremely skilled in martial arts and would be able to take down most armed fighters, it doesn't mean that someone without a weapon is better than someone with a weapon. At the end of the day, if both stats are completely equal, the person with a weapon is most likely to come out the victor, let alone someone like Musashi who's mastered weapons to the same degree that they've mastered martial arts. In 3 days, Sea King Retsu from the Ming Dynasty will be fighting against Miyamoto Musashi in the underground arena, but this time they'll be allowed to use weapons per request of Retsu. I already know this squabble is gonna be sensational. Don't forget this man Retsu is an enemy stand user. Miyamoto sees it as disrespect because Retsu is basically saying that he would pack him up if he didn't use any weapons. He goes in for the attack and grabs his prosthetic leg, but Retsu straight up lays bro out. Damn, I low-key feel like Miyamoto let himself get hit, but I don't know, like it's hard to tell. Retsu goes through a mini training arc to polish up his weapons-based martial arts. Kaiokaku also teaches him a new defensive technique that will allow him to take minimal damage by envisioning his body as a feather, since according to them, a feather is almost impossible to cut. And then guess what my ego says? I bet I could cut a feather. Surely it can't be that hard. Like if the blade is sharp enough and I hit it like right in the middle, like at a perfect angle, I feel like it's possible. I don't know, maybe I'm bugging. It seems like my theory definitely holds some weight though, because as we cut over to Miyamoto, we see bro cut not only through a bunch of leaves, but also a feather with zero difficulty. So this whole training is pointless. After Retsu completes his feather training, Izo Motobe pulls up to the dojo. He tells Retsu, you don't get the facilities for that big man, because he thinks that no one is able to take down Miyamoto except for him, since he's the only one who's skilled enough in weapons-based martial arts. And watch out bro, watch out. I don't know who he's feeling like. Retsu, Baki, and most definitely Yujiro are all stronger than him. He tells Retsu to drop out of the fight for his own sake, but he'll be happy to let him fight if he manages to defeat him. Retsu says bet and goes for a straight right, but Motobe catches it with his neck before Retsu resets the fight. He goes in with a flying knee, Motobe blocks it, but Retsu gut checks him as Motobe puts him in a standing armbar like Mighty Mouse. Retsu reverses momentum with a bicycle kick, putting Izo Motobe on his ass. A respect to Izo. I knew Retsu would win, but you know, he was low-key, you know, hanging in there for a while. He says it doesn't matter that he lost though, he still won't be able to defeat Musashi Miyamoto. Motobe gets ready to form an imaginary sword, but Graham steps in and knocks him out. And you know, I've kind of like brushed over it in my past videos, but if I was in the Bakiverse, I would have a monthly subscription to the underground arena. This seems like prime time entertainment to me. Imagine you just failed a math test, so you and your homies go to watch a caveman fight prime Baki after school. Retsu and Musashi walk out, and the rules rules are simple. Everything goes except for firearms, and this is indeed a battle to the death. Let the squabble commence. Retsu opens up the battle and begins spamming kunais the same way Vegeta spams his ki blast. This is easy pickings for Miyamoto though, as he sidesteps and perfect parries all of them. Retsu ain't phased though and takes off his jacket before he begins using it to throw dirt in Musashi's face. This man is a demon. He's taking it without even blinking. This is how locked in Ang was against Ko the Face Stealer. If you know, you know. Retsu throws his jacket, Miyamoto goes to cut it, but Retsu used it as a diversion to land a hit with the playful cloud. Retsu must have a heavenly restriction just like Toji. It actually does solid damage, leaving Musashi leaking. Retsu charges up another attack and Musashi gets ready to guard. He goes in with a triple swing, but Musashi weaves them before he catches both whips and disarms him without even breaking a sweat. He pops his ult and destroys Retsu's whips with nothing but a swing. This is like when Toji broke Playful Cloud in half, as if it doesn't cost a gazillion bucks. This is why you're broke. No respect for money. Miyamoto takes his sword and gives it to Retsu, asking him to try it himself, but Retsu ain't with all that and lands a nasty 4-piece combo laying him out. Miyamoto is low-key disrespectful when you think about it. He stands up and shouts his famous line he used against Kojiro Sasaki. "See King Retsu, you are already defeated." He throws his katana in the sand, Flash steps in and dodges the straight left. Retsu whips him in the face and clocks him with an upward heel, dropping him to his knees. He goes for another strike, but Musashi grabs him by his peg leg, the same way he did against Baki, and once again uses the exact same move, bouncing him off the arena. Had Retsu looking like he got hit by Kakashi's Kamui. I thought it was raps, but Retsu regains his aura like Mr. Terrific, landing in a fighting pose. Even though he's standing up, there is no light behind his eyes. Please don't do my goat like Rock Lee. He snaps back to reality, but is not looking good at all. Every single attack he throws, this gets perfect parried. I know Miyamoto Musashi played Sekiro. Miyamoto picks up a sword, so Retsu backs out the Philly shell and uses Baki's stance. Musashi releases all his Magoi. Bro, I can even see the black ruch emanating from his face. He goes for the same attack he used on Doppo, but Retsu eats it and full counters like Meliodas, heel kicking the Jeepers Creepers out of Miyamoto. This is the same move my goat Jaden Smith hit Cheng with. Miyamoto is left tweaking on the floor and I thought he was cooked. Had even Motobe shook. Yeah, keep that same energy now, you batty boy. Well, I'll be damned. This man Miyamoto jumps out of nowhere and steals Retsu away like Satoru Gojo. Damn, put bro in a pretzel. He tells Retsu that he fought and lost to a fighter who's superior to him before freeing him and going for another down heavy. Retsu goes for the same revenge counter, but Musashi reads it and cuts off his leg. I thought the game was still on, but Retsu bursts open as he has been cut. Miyamoto gives him his praise since he didn't tend to cut him in half, meaning that the Shaolin monk feather technique partially held up. Retsu throws out the Yorichi pose. Yo. What's wrong with me, bro? As he springs in with an overhand right, Musashi flicks him into the air and lands a cut to the abdomen. Retsu is still standing upright with nothing but sheer willpower, but even the man with a heart made of gold was unable to hold it down in the end. Damn, man. And that backstory just hit home. And you know, it just goes to show the level of hunger Retsu had for the game. He said that he will never stop fighting until his head has been taken from his shoulders. He said no matter how dire the situation is, how bleak the future may look, he will continue to push forward as long as he draws breath on this earth. Take this lesson into your own lives, my nephews. Until death, every loss is mental. You must advance and continue to march towards your goals, whatever it may be, academics, sports, YouTube, anything. You cannot afford to give up or take things easy in life, no matter the setback. Hey, it's been a while since I did some hope core for you guys. Yo though. It's a terrible day for Rain. See King Retsu, the man who has been part of the story for God knows how many years, has been cut down and officially taken out the game. I did not expect this at all. Like, it's been quite a while since someone from the main cast got taken out. I kinda got used to them surviving unsurvivable things, you know? I mean, I don't know if this will cheer you guys up, but I found out that Retsu actually gets a spin-off where he genuinely gets isekai into a magical fantasy world, like... And I kid you not, he goes in there with raw martial arts and starts putting belt to ass on all these Elden Ring creatures and even takes on Son Wukong. I see this as an absolute W. I love Baki, man. What other anime do you know that can get away with doing this? Fast forward a few days and we get to see Miyamoto's backstory, and long story short, he basically compares his fight with Retsu to being at war when he was a child. What I did find funny is that when Tokugawa asked Miyamoto about his well-renowned rival Kojiro Sasaki, bro barely even remembered him and even goes out of his way to say that he wasn't even that nice of a swordsman. No matter what iteration, Kojiro continues to get violated. Whilst all this was going on, Izo Motobe was in the background plotting and scheming. His entire goal so far has been to protect the entire cast from dying to Miyamoto, because he believes he's the only one capable of defeating him, which I find hard to believe. He got smoked out by base Retsu, and Retsu got practically no diff by Miyamoto. Baki goes to visit Motobe and asks him if he's willing to train him in weapon-based martial arts, and he repeats the same sentiment to him that he will never be strong enough to take on Miyamoto and he should just let him handle it. Yo, this guy's a hater. Baki obviously gets upset, and I can't blame him. Imagine I went to prime Mike Tyson and told him, hey big dog, don't worry about it, I'm gonna protect you. What do you mean protect me? Baki squares up, and Motobe says that if it's a hand-to-hand fight, Baki would maul him, but if he was allowed to use weapons, it would be a no contest. I hate people that talk spicy but don't back it up. Where were you when Baki fought against Pickle, huh? Baki goes in for an attack, but Izo drops a smoke bomb and appears behind him with a knife, and I don't care what anyone says. I guess if you want to claim it as a W, you can go right ahead, but all I'm hearing is M-I-C-K-E-Y-M-O-U-S-E, because that's a real Mickey way to win a fight. Off topic, but I'm 99% sure this is Miles Critical. Like, even the cadence of his voice, it sounds exactly like him.
I have a pretty good guess. What do you think?
If it is actually him, that's just goated. Like, imagine getting into voice acting in an anime that you've always loved. That's literally like one of my dreams. So shout out to Charlie. Even if it honestly isn't like the best voice acting, it's just like a, you know, like a random side character. Like, it's not really that deep. But hey, any anime studios watching this, hit my line. I'd be a great background character number 86. I'm telling you. It cuts over to Yujiro Hanma chilling in his hotel, and this man Izo Motobe is with him. Yujiro tells him that he's planning on fighting Miyamoto Musashi, when Izo Motobe tells him he shouldn't fight him, and he's genuinely flabbergasted trying to comprehend what this buffoon is even suggesting. This is also where the iconic Baki panel came from. He asks why, and Motobe says that he doesn't think Yujiro can take him down and he should let him protect him.
I'll fucking kill you!
Yo. I think I finally understand what Izo Motobe is. He's a professional rage baiter. He's in it for the love of the game. Yujiro tried to put him on a t-shirt, and again, I can't blame him. We're talking about a person whose testosterone is so high. He sees both men and women as the same. This is the man who stopped an earthquake with his bare hands. Who is Izo Motobe going to protect him from? Because over to Motobe, and this guy is actually a fake demon, bro. His timbers are shivering after barely managing to escape Yujiro. He's truly just a rage baiter through and through. Yujiro is pissed off, so he pulls up straight to Tokugawa's estate looking for smoke with Miyamoto Musashi. They have a friendly chat, and we get to learn a bit more about Miyamoto's philosophy. Long story short, he basically explains that he wants everything. He wants to be successful, rich, and famous, and now that he's been revived, he wants to reach the same status he reached once before. It's definitely a unique take on Miyamoto's character.
When it came to beautiful women, mounds of dazzling gold, extravagant feasts, or the finest sake.
Here we go again.
Yes, I once had it all. I want to be successful. I want their admiration. I want to be praised, applauded, and commended by everyone. I want to be someone who can't hide from his fame.
He stands up and goes for an imaginary slash on Yujiro, but Yujiro just sits there, unfazed. This was basically a throw check from Miyamoto. He praises him and says that he could take almost anyone out of that slash, whilst Yujiro says his slash was mid at best. He tells Tokugawa to give Miyamoto his sword so they can tee up. This is the first time in the entire season that Miyamoto has had two real swords in his inventory. He unsheathes his katana, but Yujiro just grabs it before using the same move he used on Hanayama and full palms his face. Miyamoto's grip doesn't loosen, so Yujiro hits him with a left hook, but he still holds on. He shakes it off and applies pressure onto the blade, lifting Yujiro into the air and swinging him away. Even Baki didn't do this to him. This is insane. Yujiro starts channeling his chakra into his demon back, and Musashi goes in drawing first blood on Yujiro. They continue their aura off, and Musashi uses Baki's cockroach breathing to flash step into range and slash Yujiro in the neck. Yujiro manages to read it though, and catches the blade before hitting him with a Orewada. Striker straight to the testicles. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. To be kicked in the balls by Prime Yujiro is diabolical. We get a flashback to an old Miyamoto Musashi at 58 years old, and we see him trying to perfect his imaginary invisible sword technique. He was close to perfecting it to the point that he didn't even pick up his swords anymore. We cut back to the squabble, and Miyamoto decides to give his swords back to Tokugawa. He shrugs off his shattered ball sacks and takes up his legendary stance. Goes in for quick chip damage, and this alone makes him top 5 strongest in the verse. I don't care. He readies up for another attack, and just as it seemed like Yujiro was gonna take more damage, this bum Izumotobe jumps in and actually protects Yujiro. Whose mans is this? Go home! Take that power of friendship nonsense over to Fairy Tail. You're in the wrong cast, my brother. This is Baki. Ignorance and schizophrenia. Yujiro was genuinely going to kill him, but Musashi and Tokugawa step in last minute to save him. Yo, what is actually wrong with this guy? No one even likes him like that. He's just forcing himself into the story. Off topic, but seeing Miyamoto Musashi and Yujiro walking around in the streets of Tokyo like this is kind of endearing. Like I feel like Yujiro is becoming a lot more chill as he gets older. He's kind of like his dad. Motobe wakes up and Tokugawa tells him to kick rocks too. Fast forward a day or two and Jack Hanma pulls up to Tokugawa to try and fight Musashi Miyamoto. And this guy Jack is hilarious, bro. He had another high lengthening surgery, making him officially 8 foot tall. How high will his ceiling go? Tokugawa tells Jack that Motobe doesn't want him to fight Miyamoto, so he says that he should fight with him to see if he's strong enough to stop him. W instigating.
That's all. Listen to everybody. Nobody believes in you. What are you prepared to do about it? Don't let no one come into your house, take your meal, do what you need to do today. I'm not nervous. I'm just telling you.
Later that night, Jack pulls up on Izumotobe and look at the size difference. He's like twice the size of him. Motobe wastes no time and gets the squabbling. Smacks the Siggy into his eye, followed up by the Yuji Itadori dropkick. Backs out his blade and goes in for 2 quick slices, dropping Jack to his knees, followed up with a Tung Tung Sahul bunk to the cranium. Damn. Jack gets up and sidekicks Motobe, sending him flying. Motobe managed to get a counter in though by driving the knife into Jack's foot. Jack tries going for a down air, but Motobe uses his own strength against him to almost cut off his whole foot. Jack says F it and goes for the Luis Suarez, but Motobe predicted this and had on a reinforced jacket as he chatters his teeth. This is how it feels to fight Batman. These prep time merges are out of pocket, man. Jack presses R3 and activates his Spartan Rage, unloading a 50-piece Sparking Zero combo on Motobe. I'm surprised he's still standing. Motobe breaks free and knocks him out with a metal rope as he ties him up the same way Miyamoto did Retsu. Damn. See what I mean? I know Jack Hanma glazers are gonna be mad in the comments, but this guy don't take no W's. He's like Renji, Vegeta, maybe even Reiner. Like, their records are terrible. Some more time passes and we are reunited with Pickle. He's hunting actual dinosaurs, bro. Who allowed this guy to freely roam the streets of Japan? Tokyo is starting to look like New York with the amount of threats that call this place their home. We cut over to Miyamoto and he finds out about Pickle, and of course he instantly wants to fight him. I can already tell this is going to be a generational squabble. The next season can't come any sooner, man. I need it. Baki is brain off, dumb fun. The perfect show to throw on after you just watch something quite heavy. It will always have a special place in my heart. But hey, that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed, be sure to drop a like and subscribe so you can join the family. YouTube thinks you like this video on screen next, so yeah, check it out. Peace.